Good morning, everyone. This is Tony Butler with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. I'm one of the life sales directors here. I want to apologize for getting started a little late here. We had some technical difficulties, but we got through those difficulties. And today's webinar, we're going to be talking with Rick Gomez of Ohio National. Ohio National is a carrier that we have added to our portfolio, and we're pleased to have them as one of the carriers that we work with. And today's topic is going to be Ohio National's IUL product. But before we get started, wanted to kind of brush through a few items in terms of what Insurance Agency Marketing Services has to offer for our advisors. Those of you that have been on webinars before, you know there's a few additional perks, if you will, if you are working with dimes, but we always love to remind our agents what's out there for them, and for those agents that are new to IMES, what's available to you. So with that, we'll get started. And again, for new producers, we do offer some perks for you, depending on the production level. As you see here, there's 5 different levels. So depending on what you're producing, you can get things from like postcard mailing pieces, Ritz-Carlton package, additional leads, and even marketing reimbursement dollars. As always, I like to tell our advisors, if you have any questions in regards to our new producers builders, please do not hesitate to give us a call. Be more than happy to discuss this with you in greater detail. We also have our IMES business builders. So if you are an established agent with IMES, meaning that you're appointed with us, and hopefully you are submitting business with the carriers that we work with, any agents that you do refer to us and they get appointed with any of the carriers that we work with, we do provide you with the $50 bonus, referral bonus. And then any subsequent business that they submit, we do offer additional spiffs on that, depending on the type of business that is submitted. So if you have any questions regarding our IMES business builders, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We offer back office support for you. I always like to say we want you to work smarter, not harder. So we have a lot of business building tools such as paperless contracting. We do offer sales coaching, as well as life and annuity quotes, case design assistance. So be sure to reach out to your marketing person for additional assistance. We also have a 24/7 website. Website has a plethora of tools available for you, whether it's sales tools. If you're a life producing agent, you can do term and guaranteed universal life quotes on our website. Forms are available. We do have industry links on here. A lot of advisors have been submitting electronic applications or been forced to because of the pandemic situation that we've had. So we have a couple platforms where you can do electronic applications, one of which is from our website. If you're a life producing agent, that's IGO eApp Solutions. The other is Firelight. Firelight, we do have a couple of carriers that make themselves available on the Firelight platform. A lot of our annuity carriers are available on the platform, and as you see here, here are our annuity companies, as well as life companies that's available on Firelight. Sorry about that. We also offer creative marketing solutions for you. If you're looking to increase your business, want to know how to increase your business, what I would suggest that you reach out to your marketing director and schedule a market analysis. That gives us the opportunity to determine what additional assistance that's needed in terms of helping to grow your business. So for example, if you're looking for turnkey agency or digital solutions, we are here to provide assistance for you. So whether that be professionally written handouts or newsletters, you're looking for advertising, logo designs, additional brochures, you want to get in the digital marketing space, we can help with personal website designs, digital marketing strategies. So if any of this does interest you, please reach out to your sales director so they can set up a marketing analysis for you. We also offer a retirement analyzer, which is free to qualifying agents. So if you have clients that are looking into the future and want to know if they continue their present standard of living into their retirement years, if they were to die prematurely, if they were to enter a nursing facility, a retirement analyzer helps you answer these questions for your clients. So if you're interested in that, again, reach out to your sales director. Be more than happy to provide additional information to you. We also have an IMS wealth management team, and our wealth management team is there for our advisors. For your higher net worth clients, they've definitely helped the advisors increase their revenue, improve client retention, and strengthen their relationships with some of the services that they provide. If you need more information as far as the wealth management team goes, please give us a call. We get you over to Charles or someone on his team, and they can assist you there. We have a Life and Annuity Academy that's coming up here April 6th through the 8th, and that's a 2-day training. If you're familiar with our academy, what we do is discuss sales strategies and ideas. We're co-presenting with North American for this academy. It's going to be in Des Moines at North American's facility. I would strongly suggest, if you're looking to take your business to the next level and you're appointed with that carrier or you need additional information, please reach out to us. I'll be more than happy to provide you with additional information, kind of discuss what we're going to be doing at the academy. I've got a polling question here. So for those of you that are interested in the academy, if you could please respond to the polling questions. Make sure to get some additional information out to you. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit just to make sure that I give everybody an opportunity to respond. A few more seconds. Okay. Lastly, we have our Top Producer Summit, which is coming up here in 2022. As you see here, qualification periods was from December 1st of 2020 to June 30th of 2022. There's a list of places that we would be visiting. If you want to have additional information in regards to our Top Producers Summit cruise or know where you're at in terms of qualifying for that, please reach out to your sales director. I'd be more than happy to get you more information on that as well. And with that, Rick, are you there?
I am here, if you can hear me.
Yes, and I'm going to change you over to the presenter.
So should I click on something to share screen, or will it just kind of automatically?
Yes, you're going to need to click on something to share screen. So I just sent that to you.
There we go. Okay, perfect. I think I got a perfect amount of time to cover what I'm going to cover. Those of you all unfamiliar to Ohio National, it should be a very, very valuable meeting. I'm going to keep this almost solely to IUL. I know every company in the industry. Last night I was quoting us against as many as possible, but I'm going to cover a couple of things today, share you where we really stick out and where we compete, answer any questions that you might have as well. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in, get started. You see kind of the agenda. I'm going to talk about the specs, which is what amounts within the coverage, talk about our accelerated underwriting, jump into our cost comparison, how we hope to build up high cash value for your clients, competitively, how we compete against other carriers, a couple of maybe sample cases, and that'll probably happen throughout the presentation, and then answer any questions that you might have happy to give you quite an insight to our IUL with Ohio National. I'm going to jump right into our accelerated underwriting. We have trademarked it OnCue. That's our simplified accelerated underwriting that does not need a agent or client phone call whatsoever. It's up to and including age 45. All classes are allowed to apply at all products, whether that's term, permanent, whole life, IUL, does not matter, up to $1 million of coverage, with a caveat: if they have already some coverage with us, then there's a $2 million threshold, meaning if they have $1 million already with us, then they can use it again, apply for an additional $1 million. If it goes above the $2 million, it's at the company's discretion to ask for full underwriting on that. We do prefer that those applications come in via e-application. If we do have any paper applications that happen to come in, I do believe we will make an exception on that. But again, we want this to be accelerated, a time saving, so we do prefer e-applications come in. Our goal is to have this turned around, these cases turned around within 48 hours to within 5 business days on that. I've seen some, get turned around within that 24-hour period. So you're looking at that now. 50% of the classes that have come in have been super preferred or preferred. So 50% of the applications that have come in have come back super preferred or preferred. And we only have a 5% kick out, meaning only 5% of those that have applied have been kicked out to full underwriting. And that actually leads the industry right now as far as accelerated underwriting. But we do have it. We've been around since 1909, and just most recently in the last year and a half have we come out with accelerated underwriting. Prior to that, since 1909, it was full underwriting no matter the face value. So very excited about that. Jumping into our IUL and the specs of the IUL, I mean, the only thing to really know is, at least on the amounts, is that we don't go below 100,000. We will not be doing a $50,000, $75,000 IUL. There'll be 100,000 and over. Another caveat is we are very favorable in juvenile. Some of the other carriers have caps of 200,000 at the most that can be used. I've seen us go up to $12 million. We're working a case right now for a CEO who has 78 million, and we're going to do their son for about, we might go as high as 20 million, obviously for cash value purposes. And again, have no issues, 2.5 million and so forth, all the way up to class 80 right now. Age 80 currently, and all the underwriting classes available right there. Again, don't have any issues of $100,000 and more. So moving on to a little more exciting, what do we have within our IUL? What are the caps today? We have several sub-accounts, if you call them that, but two that are most utilized are going to be the S&P 500 point to point at 925. This just shows the last 15 years historically within our illustration that is only about 19-page illustration, so not a 40, 70-page illustration, only a 19-page illustration. But our current cap is 9.25 S&P 500. We also have an uncapped that I am always looking at comparing to all the other carriers. Allianz has an uncapped 50% participation. Another carrier I won't mention, very close to us, has a very similar point-to-point uncapped. We have a 7% spread, which means that the client would have to earn above that in order to get obviously more return. An example of last year in our uncapped, the S&P from point to point did 27.48. The return to the customer within the IUL account value, 20.48% right there. Again, another similar carrier has a 7.5 spread, but with a 0.5 charge annually. So again, as much as they are close to us, we're not charging for an annual cost, and they are 0.5 more than us. And it also can be allocated. It doesn't have to be 100% in uncapped or S&P 500 point to point. It can actually be 30%, 70%, or allocated accordingly annually. So moving on, what is the big highlight of Ohio National is our low cost of insurance. We are the lowest cost of insurance in the industry, and that's extremely important. As the client gets out in age, the more death benefit they have within the policy, the more expensive IUL becomes, extremely expensive. And again, nobody has a lower, and I've highlighted here, cost of insurance in the industry than we do. I'm going to give you a very good example, and this is going to kind of eliminate a couple of our competitors here and how expensive they are. But this is a case we just did in Boston, recently, I'll say within the last year. It was a 58-year-old client. He had applied with Penn Mutual. Penn Mutual had given him a preferred offer. He came to talk to one of our advisors. We did full underwriting, gave him also a preferred offer on $6.9 million. It was a $500,000 5-pay on $6.9 million preferred non-smoker. This was our annual cost of insurance, $42.66 annually. And then you see the next 5 years of cost of insurance annually. Penn Mutual put the same preferred writing on their application, on their offer. This was Penn Mutual's cost, $24,000, again, about 5 times more expensive than we were for the same preferred offer. I tallied up the 5 years because the client wanted to know, okay, what's the difference between you all and Penn Mutual? The difference was $150,000 just in the first 5 years. We're not even getting out there into the other additional years. And again, 500% more expensive than we were. I'll give you guys a quick example, and I'll come back to this. I'll pull this back up again. But if I was illustrating us versus another comparison, non-smoker, I just want to give you guys an idea. 500% more expensive than us is our table P. What Penn Mutual, and I'll throw this in there as well, Allianz, are charging for standard is what we would charge our clients for table P. That's egregious. But I will share with you, and it'll be the trend of this presentation, we treat table B, C, D customers that want cash value IULs as super preferred customers. So in that example, again, table P, what Penn Mutual is charging for preferred is our table P. What Allianz is charging for their standard is our table P. Again, so I just share with you, if you ever have a table rated client, table B, C, D, and they want to build up cash value, they have the wealth, they cannot contribute to a Roth IRA because they earn too much, we are the best solution for that customer. And you'll see that as we trend on. I'm going to share with you all a statistic that we may be living ourselves, but anyone who reported gaining weight over the last 2 years due to the pandemic, the average weight gain of those individuals was 29 pounds. And as I share that, as I've gone around, I was last week with another firm, and I shared that with a group of 128 producers. Many of them sat with me after lunch and said, that was me. I gained almost that exact amount, 29 pounds. Reason I bring that up is exactly what I think about right away is really not even the pounds, it's the rating. They've now moved from one particular, whether they were super preferred down to select or standard, or they were standard and now they're maybe table B due to that weight gain, due to that movement within their rating. So that's what I think about. But for that customer, I want my advisors to make as much money as possible with the right clients. Some advisors believe if the client's not standard or better, well, then they'll move on to find that next client. I want you all on the call to know that if the client comes back table B, C, or D, you have a carrier to do that business with, and that is us. So again, some advisors think, well, gosh, they came back table B, you know what, that it's not a cash value solution. Absolutely not. We are providing the best cost of insurance to those clients. When I talk about cost of insurance, this is what I look at on every policy. I'm looking at the cost of insurance ledger per age. What you'll find in every single policy, not just ours, but everyone, is the cost of insurance per 1,000 per month, and our ledger is the lowest in the industry. There are areas where some carriers might be as competitive, but over the course of the entire ledger and age, you're going to see that they do not compete. And I'll show you a couple of examples of that. But if you're ever interested in what it is that I'm talking about, it's the cost of insurance per 1,000 per month. No one has a lower ledger than Ohio National. So give you guys a couple more examples here. One thing about us is we do have a small bonus. We're not charging for that bonus, but we have a 0.3 bonus in the 11th year and on. Now, is it the biggest bonus? No, but we're not charging very much at all to add that, not add that, but it comes along with our IUL. Here's a very good example, just to show you guys. This was one I just ran, so a little bit lower here. This is a 50-year-old buying $5.5 million of coverage. He's doing a 10 pay for $300,000. After he's done that, we level it back off. We lower death benefit. Now we're out to age 66. Our COI for that client is now $5,213 annually. Client has $5 million roughly in account value. That 0.3 bonus is nearly $15,000. What I like to tell my advisors and clients of those advisors is, with that 0.3 bonus, we're paying the customer to be in this policy. We're paying them to be in it. We're giving them $15,000 of a bonus. They're only paying $5,200 to be in that policy. So again, behooves that client. Let's assume that they end up getting what last year's uncapped got, which was near over 20%. And again, we're paying them to be in this policy. IUL, great place to be. $5 million, they get the uncapped return. They've gotten nearly $1 million, even though this shows, you know, that 6% growth, but nearly $1 million potential for someone who's retired. And in that IUL, that individual can be just as aggressive as, say, a 40-year-old. But the point of this slide was to show the 0.3 bonus in year 11 and on. Doesn't matter what the return of the client, we're adding additional 0.3. And I like to see it as, and I own one of these and put quite a bit of my income into one of these, is the bonus. Again, at some point, we're paying you more than to be in this policy. I think about the 66-year-old that has a managed account that's either in a fixed income bond portfolio or a bond portfolio with a managed account advisor. And I'm a 7 and 66 advisor myself, but a lot of times I see these statements of these 66, 70-year-olds with this amount of money with an advisor managed account, and they're paying 2 to 3%. So think about 2 to 3% of $5 million that's going out, and really their cap within that fixed income bond is about 4.5% that they'll earn annually. So IUL, great place to be, 0.3 bonus. We're paying the client to be in our investment, and yet they have a cap that keeps them from loss, but has some great growth. So another thing that I'm going to point out that's kind of unique, and then show you one of the tests that I do when it comes to IUL, is we're a little unique in our software. I can actually go year by year and put different cap rates, or actually different returns. So I can assume, you know, certain years that they don't get a return. And I like to do that because there are historical situations where there are years that it hits the floor. So I can go over a 30, 40-year history and actually put in a couple of zeros within our software. So what I'm going to show you guys next is a stress test that I did. You know, my concern a little bit in IUL before I even purchased my large IUL was, you know, interest rates back then, cap rates 7 years ago were 15%, you know, 15% cap rates. And even those policies have come down significantly. But I wanted to know what would happen with my policy if cap rates went to 6%. If 6% was the cap rate, who's the company that I need to be putting my dollars with? So I went out and I ran other companies that allowed me to do historical returns and actually put in zeros where were needed. But I also took the top 3 companies that had enhancements and bonuses, because I thought, well, maybe I'm missing out if I don't buy them versus Ohio National. I just want to show you guys what I found and then show you the illustrations. So what I found was that when I went out at a 6% stress test, 20 years in, and I'll show you the client in a second, this is the cash value Ohio National had. This is what Lincoln had, Pac Life had, John Hancock had. And really, the big highlight is how much less cash value they had than us at a 6%, what I call stress test. Now, I'm 41. I think about this. Some of y'all on the call may think about this. At some point, we may not be here for our customers. We may pass away suddenly or just over time, and our customers are depending on us on the product that they purchased. If cap rates ever got stressed, went down to 6%, are they in the best situation? So again, let's talk about who this customer was and how we came to these figures. What I did was look back historically, back to 2000, and wanted to see how many zeros were in that. And then every time that we hit the cap, I wanted to put 6% in there. So I went back to 2000 and noticed that starting in 2000, there were 3 years of negative returns in the S&P. So I wanted to illustrate 0, 0, 0, and then I wanted to actually put 6 everywhere that it hit the cap. Here was 5.41. I used 541, but I went ahead and used the historical return over 20 years and put zeros where zeros were and 6s where it hit the cap. Now, year 20 and on, I give every company that I ran 6%. So every single year after year 20, I left it at 6% every single year of that return. Customer that I used right here was a 60-year-old client. I was doing a minimum death benefit, maximum cash value for 10 years, leveling off year 11. So 100,000 for 10 years. So really $1 million this customer is putting in. I used them at standard non-smoker. They didn't put anything in any longer, and I left it level at 2.38 million. Year 20, age 80, customer still had 1.276 million. So 1,276,000. As we went on, again, no contributions at all. 6% was the return I was using. And out at age 100, my customer who put in $1 million still had $1.29 million, almost 1.3 million at age 100. How did that compete? Again, just to give you guys a snapshot of what it looked like. Again, year 20, 1.2 million. How did our competitors look? Here are the figures, and I'll show you the exact illustrations, which truly concerned me. I used to be with Lincoln. I was a sales manager for them. Lincoln used to have good products. I believe they've gotten a little bit more centric in earning return rather than the customer getting return. But what did Lincoln look like? Well, 20 years out, same exact customer. Again, there's a 679,000. Remember, giving everybody a 6% return. Everybody getting 6% from that year on. Lincoln lapsed that year, or the client's age of 91, almost 92. They still didn't have the 2.3 million in death benefit, and yet again, they could not compete with us. Pac Life, well known. So Pac Life, how did they do? Year 20, here they are, $788,000. If we go on, how did they perform? Age 93, age 92, the policy lapsed. Again, just as a reminder, at age 100, we still had nearly $1.3 million, and they could not compete here against us. Last company that's well known, John Hancock. I'll go ahead and just kind of show their numbers. Again, 724,000 year 20. We were at 1.2 million. Even more concerning is they lapsed at age 89, didn't make it out to age 90. Again, at age 100, we had $1.2 million. These are the big companies out there that can quote a lot of interest. They can quote higher interest than we can based on a lot of enhancements and bonuses. Not to beat them up, but here's the last thing that I did. I was quoting Ohio at 6% and using zeros where zeros were historically. Lincoln could quote at 6.73, Pac at 7, John Hancock at 7.34. So what I did was, over that historical 20 year, rather than using 6, every time it hit the cap, I used the maximum cap rate or maximum illustrated rate that they could. So everywhere that there was a cap hit, I gave them 7, 6.73, and 7.34 in John Hancock, which is the most concerning. But as I go out 20 years, just as a reminder, we were at 1.276 at 6% with a lot of zeros in that 20-year period. Here's where they were using their maximum illustrated rate, 857, $1,040,000, and 981, where they're getting 1.34% more on each time it hit the cap, hugely concerning, which is again a big reason why I did not purchase my IUL with either of these three companies. But again, for the sake of my customers, your customers, and going out there, maybe getting a little more conservative as they get out there in their 70s, 80s, and so forth, who is the company that you want to be doing business with? Now, back to the presentation that I had, I want to touch on a couple of things. And again, just giving you an idea of why I showed this slide here. I wanted to talk about cost of insurance and table rated. Here's an example of a case we just did in Colorado. A CEO of a company who had 25 million. He's the one that had 78 million, but he brought us his Allianz policy. And again, 25 million, he brings us his in-force Allianz. He had 4.2 million in cash, and he had done a 5-pay with a ton of money. He thought he was good. Allianz sent us the in-force. Here's what the policy charges were over that period of time. Now, they had some term riders in there, which I'll share with you in a second. But over the period of time, look how much they were charging. Client didn't realize at age 84, the policy was going to lapse. It went from 4.2 million to a lapsing policy at age 84. So he wanted to find an alternative. Who was the better company to go with? So if he moved over his cash value, which roughly at the time when I ran the illustration, 4.2 million for him. Again, we were looking at a preferred non-smoker at age 61 right here. Now, there is a large load. I mean, we are a 6% load, so on 4.2 million, it was 283, but the cost of insurance was only 19,999. The very next year, Allianz was going to charge 248,000. We didn't have that charge, but our COI was only 22,330, giving you a good idea. Needless to say that the client and his wife put in an application over with Ohio National. I'm not big on 1035s and moving money over, anything like that. But again, this is what you're going to find. Allianz is, as I mentioned, 5 times more expensive than we are, if not more. And that's a big example right there. Give you guys an idea of a table rated client and how much they can benefit from doing business with Ohio National, how much more income you can make from that table rated client, B, C, D, that we treat like super preferreds or super preferred clients. 42-year-old female. This was a teacher. Again, not a big IUL, but the numbers I think are easy to see here. Non-smoker, she applied. She was going to start off by doing the target $230 a month, and she was going to move up to 500, and maybe at some point, even more. And if she got a bonus, got some extra money, really fill this thing up to the rim as much as she could. $63 was all that the COI was in year 1. When we applied, she came back table B. The agent called me and said, what are we going to do now at table B? I'm concerned. Are we going to be able to build up the same amount of cash value? Well, let's take a look at how the COI changed from standard to table B. $94 is what it became. So it went from 63 to 94, a difference of $31. But something that I want to stick out to your clients that do come back table B, again, 29-pound gain through the pandemic potentially, and yet they still want to build up cash value. So this is the illustration right here. Give you guys an idea. I'm gonna go over to it and what it looks like right here. So when we're running an illustration, this is what I highlighted. I was looking at these numbers right here and kind of looking at the client. So when I go back to the presentation, this is what I was looking at. 42-year-old and being a standard non-smoker. If she was at that, here's the table B. It went up $31. But I want you to notice something. Here's the maximum contribution when she was standard, $11,850. $31 more she came back table B. Her maximum contribution was now $16,416. Now think about a lot of customers that are that wealthy customer cannot put into a Roth IRA because they make too much income, would love to put more tax favorable money away, and yet they come back table B, and for $31, they can nearly put an additional $5,000 into a tax favorable product. That is very significant. As a matter of fact, if it was me, it almost would behoove this client to have been table B. If I was trying to maximize my IRA, or in this example, maximize my Roth IUL, if I call it that, I could put more money in here at table B for only $31 all in. And yet over the course of having this policy, I would have more cash value build up because of that. Again, we treat table B, C, Ds like super preferred customers on there. Another thing I want to share with you, the other day, there was a gentleman out of Arizona who does some very big cases. He asked me to do a big Symetra case at 500,000, and Symetra 20 years out at super preferred had $20,000 more than us. And so the advisor says, you know what, Rick, I think I'm going to go with them. And you know what, fine. You know, if at super preferred, they illustrated better than us, that maybe some companies do. They might have more enhancements that they're showing. They might have a little higher bonus that they're showing. But, you know, I sat back and I thought, well, what about at table B? Not that this customer was table B, but in the future, when you get a table B client, would Symetra or any other company compete well against us? As I traveled the country about 2 weeks ago, I was in the IMES office, met with them. Then I went out and saw another group of 128 advisors. And, you know, different companies give me different carriers that they see quite a bit. North American, NLG, they say, well, that's the go-to because X, Y, and Z. So this is an example of Symetra, but at table B, could they compete against us? So I'm showing you the illustration I ran last night. Now, this is just target, you know, kind of a different number. It's not the 500,000 that you see, but I just wanted to show at table B, how did the Symetra perform? They beat us at super preferred, but what about table B? So this is table 2, you know, just doing a basic premium at $1 million, age 45, kind of just highlight a couple numbers, 143,000 here. We'll go down 274 at year 15, and year 20, you know, 437. Ohio National, again, table B, kind of go up here, show you guys the same customer. Non-smoker, table B, million, same exact premium, and we go out 20 years, and we are at we are at $468,000, and Symetra was at 437. Not a big number, but I will tell you, this is table B. As you go C and D, it becomes even more egregious, and with other companies, well more egregious. Everyone's great at super preferred, and I would tell you, bring those super preferred customers to us. But let's give you guys an example of table B. Now, North American, one I hear all the time, and they are competitive. I do like North American, don't get me wrong. They were someone I considered, but I wanted to see, how does North American at table B in their point-to-point look against Ohio National? Again, Symetra was close, you know, but North American, table B, go out here, see this, pull up this customer here. See if I can get the top here. And they don't really need, all they say is detailed summary, but this is table B that I ran. I could even pull up the WinFlex if you guys want to take a look at it. And, you know, I was surprised that they didn't compete better than against, because I always hear how North American is extremely competitive, and they are. But when I did the S&P point-to-point using that one, 9.5 cap, 100%, we looked at it, what their return came to be. It was a little concerning, and I ran us at 5%. So I ran them at 5%, and again, I ran us at 5%. So just to kind of share with you, no hiding any numbers. Ran them at 5, ran us at 5. At table B, remember 20 years in. So actually, I'll go 30 years in. So 693,000. Table B, 5% North American. If I go out 30 years with us, table B, 30 years, here we go, 30 years, $987,000. North American, $693,000. Extremely competitive company. Again, assuming maybe cap rates come down a little bit. Ohio National, 978,000 or 87,000. North American, 693,000. I was trying to run a couple more companies, but for some reason on WinFlex, a couple of these companies wouldn't let me run B, C, or D. They wanted to run J, but I don't think that was fair to them, because again, R, J, P, K is their standard in many cases. Give you guys the last example, premium finance. I don't know if you all are premium finance. I know I'm asked by a lot of carriers about premium finance. So I was doing a case very recently where it was a premium finance, and I ran Ohio National and I ran Allianz. This is Allianz right here. I have it on this page for a reason, because I initially ran us at 5.5 million, all base. And I was sent a premium finance by Allianz, or actually by the bank, where the numbers were baffling. I was trying to look at the numbers and I said, the numbers don't match up. What's going on here? Well, what they sent me was half term, half base. So half term, half base. So just wanted to share that with you. So I thought, okay, well, half term, half base, they were still extremely more expensive than us. But what is their 2.75 million on a 72-year-old? Again, we were going to do premium financing, 300,000 for 10 years, look like in cost for Allianz? And again, Allianz is one of those carriers. A lot of people tell me that they're running within the IMO channel. I didn't run this. This is coming from the bank. They like to do 50% Bloomberg, 50% PINCO. Probably tells me because that's the best return they could get historically in those numbers. When I get down here, I just want to show you guys the costs. Again, not to beat it up, but I'm going to leave it with this and how we treat customers. Allianz, a good company. They've been top for a while. But I don't know if anyone's looking closely enough at their charges. Here is an example at their policy charges. This is all in policy charges, 140,000. They have a little bit of a breakdown, but that's a guaranteed scenario. Let me go down here where it actually looked a little bit more favorable. Non-guaranteed, here we go. So policy charges right here, 79 for the current summary. And it had even a better breakdown for me. And I'm trying to get to the cost of insurance, guys. So COI, this was the COI on the 2.75 million. That's what I'm trying to show. The rider, the other 2.75 term was 10,000, but annually 35,000 for 2.75. That's what I wanted to see. You know, how much were we at 2.75 million? And I've got that right here. This is that actual customer, 2.75 million, 45. I'm going to show you guys the cost. You know, how are we? They were 35,000. We are $4,700, 4738 for 2.75 million, 72 non-smoker. Allianz, $35,000. Those are real dollars, client customers. Those are real dollars. So I've got a couple of minutes here before we hit kind of the 10-minute to go mark, and I want to point something out to you all in that stress test that I did, and you know, see if you guys feel the same way that I do about some of these companies that have enhancements and bonuses. So you know, I've always felt this way. You know, I'll start with Lincoln real quick. Lincoln, and thankfully they've gotten a little bit away from this product right here, but they had an asset accumulation or an asset charge product recently where they were charging 6% day one of the policy for this asset charge. You could get a potential bonus of 56%, but no matter what, day one you were going to get charged 6%, and then you pretty much had to make that up over time. Okay, but 6% is egregious to start off the year with. But not only that, you're running an illustration where they're charging the client 6% every single year. I'll say this, as a 7 and 66 advisor, if my broker dealer, if I went to my broker dealer with an 80-year-old client and submitted paperwork to do a managed account policy where I was going to charge that client 6%, they would throw that back at me and say, you're kidding. You're not going to charge this 80-year-old 6%. But yet somehow I can quote an illustration that's going to show that. But really my point of mentioning this was, imagine if every year, rather than embedded charges, that are in there, the client doesn't see it, the client actually had to come to your office and write you a check. If the client had to come to your office and write you a check for their IUL charges, how would that go? Many of them would probably not remember. You know, explain to me again why we're doing this. I'll give you a funny little scenario. I have a lot of clients, 300 clients, a lot of them in FIAs, fixed index annuities. Mine are very greedy clients. And what I mean by that is I've gotten them 17% in an FIA, 11% in an FIA, fixed index annuity. But the next year, when I get them 1, they come back and complain to me. Rick, I could have gotten more in a CD. You only got me 1% this year. Well, remember I got you 17 last year, okay? And then the next year I'll get them 11. and they'll be happy as can be. Let me take that withdrawal, enjoy it, and then the next year they'll get one and tell me again, Rick, I could have been in a CD, I could have gotten more money. Again, greedy clients, but I love my clients, but I just share that with you because of what I'm about to say. Imagine if a customer had to come to you every single year on anniversary and write you a check for the cost of the policy before things went on. This is Pac Life. I'm only using them because I copied their illustration and showed their enhancement charges. So again, year one, remember historically 000 back in 2000. So the customer comes in year two and you say, customer, can you write me a check for $10,000? They're going to ask, can you remind me again why, I don't care if they have $2 million, 10,000 is a lot of money. And they didn't get any return that year. So they come back year three and you say, customer, I need you to write me a check for $13,975. I would probably guess that after 2 years of no returns, they're not going to want to write that check any longer. So when it comes to some of these expenses, I asked one of my counterparts in Florida once, because he was working a big case for one of his family members, didn't know IUL that well. So he called me and he says, Rick, how can I explain to them John Hancock's so expensive? And I said, you know what, ask them this. Are they the type of individual to go buy lottery tickets? I mean, regularly. I buy lottery tickets maybe when it's, $500 million and the line's not very long, maybe. And I haven't won yet. But I think about these enhancements and costs as lottery tickets, meaning there's a potential that you could, enhance your return. But in many cases, here's a good example, 9 years in, hits the floor, there's no return. Customer has to come to you and write you a check for $50,000, which is the enhancement charge in Pac Life. Do you think the customer is going to feel comfortable doing that? And I'm sure they'll ask again, why am I doing this again? Well, for the opportunity to earn an enhancement on your bonus. I would guess that after a couple of years of not hitting a cap or getting a zero, they would not do that any longer. That would be a difficult sale, but a lot of this is embedded. So I share that with you. I'm not big on enhancements. Give you guys a good example here. This was a good year, but I'll look at a year where it wasn't. Here's the base return, year 8, they got the policy got 17, the enhancements, added another 24, all in, the return was 42, but the actual charge for the enhancements was 45. So the client lost a little bit, either way, because they paid that extra 45. We don't have enhancement charges. We don't have bonus charges. We don't add a lot to our policy. It may not be the sexiest policy out there, but it is the lowest cost of insurance, which is in a way all I look at. So we treat B, C, D customers like super preferred. Heck, we treat table Ps like super preferred. The Penn Mutual puts a preferred on the illustration or on the paperwork. It says preferred. That's what we would charge table P. Allianz puts standard on their paperwork. That's what we would charge table P for our customers. So keep that in mind. These are real dollars. That's the presentation that I have for you. Get with IMES, get appointed with Ohio National. Our terms are extremely competitive. I'm not going to get into them today, but our terms are separate from our IULs. A lot of carriers have a lot of little features in their term. They might take on a little more risk in their term, but because they're charging their IULs so egregiously, they're charging the customers that are trying to build up cash value much more because of how much their terms are. We are competitively priced. Again, just wanted to share that with you. We treat these and these like super preferreds. I believe we have the best IUL in the industry. And the last thing I'm going to say is, sure, a super preferred that looks great, that has a lot of enhancements, might beat us in cash value in illustration 20 or 30 years later, but in all, I believe we have the best policy. So any questions? That's where I'll stop right there. We've got 6 minutes. Any questions that I could help answer for you guys? Again, get with IMES, get contracted, look at Ohio National. What can I answer for you? What questions are coming?
Rick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm going to switch this back over to me because I did get some questions that were asked. So let's see here. The first one, does Ohio National include living benefits?
We do. We have 2 very good living benefits. If there's a moment, I could share it with you. But anyways, let me pull up an illustration real quick and just kind of show you. We do
Do I need
have
to switch
living.
back to you? You want me to switch back to you?
Well, you know what? I'll verbalize it. But
Okay.
yes, we have chronicle and terminal, and our chronicle is very competitive. Two things to know about our chronicle. One, it is not reimbursable, meaning we're not reimbursing expenses whatsoever. Two, they could use it for anything they want to. As long as a doctor deems them not to be able to perform 2 of 6 daily living activities, the claim amount is very, very high. It maxes out at age 85. But we've had customers say they were getting 600,000 in claim amounts, say, you know what, Ohio National is great. We're not having to spend it on facilities. We can do whatever we want with it. Customer out of Dallas was going to use that $600,000 to put a pool in the backyard, and told a group of advisors that he wasn't going to, use it on long-term care. It was to put a pool in the backyard so that the grandkids could still come see grandma. And our chronicle, to me, is very much a long-term care rider. So we do have that, and it's not an extra cost. It's a great, great rider. It's already included. So just answer that question for you.
Is that a lump sum payout?
So
Is there a
it's an
maximum amount?
annual, it's a claim amount of 100% of the cash value plus a percentage of the net at risk, which is the difference of cash value to the death benefit. And it maxes out at age 85, where you get 100% of the cash value, 50% of the net at risk. And it's a state by state annual maximum that you normally see about 142,000. So when I say 600,000 is the claim amount, they can start utilizing that over time. They don't have to take all of it, but in the state of Texas that I'm sitting in today, 142,000 is the annual maximum. Different states have a little bit more, New York, California, but that's what you're looking at. So you get a claim amount and then an amount per year that you can withdraw from that claim amount.
Okay. All right. And I got another question that's asked, and this gets asked a lot, especially now. What is the minimum face amount you guys offer?
100,000 is our
100,000.
minimum. So
Okay.
unfortunately, we can't go to 50, we can't go to 75, but you know what? As inexpensive as we are, I might as well go with 100. I'm just going to say that. I mean, I'm talking to a client right now, they wouldn't mind 50, but us versus like Penn Mutual, might as well get 100 rather than buy 50,000 from Penn Mutual. So 100,000 is our minimum.
Okay. This one's a little bit more in-depth question. What is the net cost of borrowing money from the policy?
Great question. Our loan rate right now is 3.2. So the loan rate right now is 3.2. We have both a wash loan and an index loan, meaning they could do the 3.2 at a wash loan. We'll credit exactly that every year so that the loan amount doesn't increase, or they can play the index where they're paying 3.2 on the loan rate, but that is collateral money, meaning it could earn 9.25 in the cap or whatever that cap rate is. So that answers your question. We have both the wash loan, and they can go back and forth any year to wash or index, but 3.2 is our current loan rate. And then again, if they're in the index, heck, they could get the uncapped and have gotten 20% on the amount they borrowed last year. So hope that answers your question, but that's what you're looking at.
And question based
Sure.
off of what you just said, because a lot of people know about the index. Can you quickly explain the wash?
So the wash loan is just that whenever we charge in interest rate, so let's say it goes to 4%. Let's say they borrowed $100,000 and that is growing at a 4% rate. Again, the cash value that they have, they're only borrowing a collateral, meaning their account value still has the 100,000. We're going to credit that 100,000 that's still in the account value, the exact amount that we were charging for the interest. So we will credit that account value at 4% if they're in the wash loan. A good example would be, let's say they have 500,000, but 100,000 is loaned in the wash loan, and the S&P, they're all in, they get 9.25. Well, the 100,000 that they borrowed in the wash wouldn't have earned 9.25, but we will make sure that it grows by the amount that they are within the wash loan, meaning the loan amount of 4%. We'll make sure those two, the loan balance and the amount that's loaned within the account value, grow at the same exact amount. So that's what you're looking at right there. That's a wash loan. Whatever the interest is, we will make sure and credit that exact interest within the account value to the balance of the loan.
Okay. No, that's a great explanation. I get that question a lot. Does the overloan protection,
Yes, we do have overloan
uh,
protection. I thought this was every company, meaning what I'll just share secondly, but I realized it's not. Meaning, if you're in the guideline premium test, we have
mhm.
overloan protection. I make sure it's on every illustration. But if you're in the CVAT, the cash value accumulation test, and do a 7 pay your contribution, then with Ohio, you would lose the overloan protection. So I tell a lot of my advisors, if they're going to use CVAT and they're going to do the 7 pay, maximum contribution, just be wary. But we do have overloan protection on everything. So for those unfamiliar, you have $1 million that you've borrowed per se or contributed, and you end up having 4 million, you end up borrowing, that policy lapses, the overloan protection will keep you from having any IRS issues. But I make sure it's on every illustration. Yes, we do have overloan protection.
There was one other question, but that's more specific to a potential client, which I will
Happy to
get
run
with you
that.
after the call.
Yeah, let me know. Happy to
Yeah,
run that illustration or get
yeah.
it over to you guys. I do appreciate your time, but again, in order to make more money, sometimes we think about the B, C's, and D's. We treat all those customers like super preferreds. Like I said,
Mhm.
Table P, Penn Mutual, and Allianz. I mean, that's super preferred and standard, and yet that's what we would charge for Table P. I mean, so I should say that. So super preferred customers making you guys more money.
Okay. So, couple of polling questions before I let you go here, Rick. One of the questions that gonna poll everybody on, if you'd like additional information on what we discussed today, I'm launching that polling question. Please respond to that and make sure to get additional information out to you. Now, Rick, will you have a product guide or any talking points to the IUL that you can provide, I can provide to the agents?
Absolutely. Yeah, I could email them over to you. I mean, right when this ends. So those that are
Sure.
interested and do click about interest, you could send to them. A lot of what I put together is pieces of cases, but absolutely our both client and agent our client and agent approved brochures, things like that on our IUL. I'm going to go ahead and send over to you so you can get first to those agents.
Awesome. And then the last polling question that we have here, this is how everybody, let me close this out. This is how everybody makes their money is writing business. And if you've got clients in mind, Ohio National is going to be a good fit for you, another arrow in your quiver, and you need to get appointed with Ohio National. You're interested in getting appointed, please respond to this polling question. We'll make sure to get that appointment request info out to you so we can get you appointed and you can start writing business. It looks like we got a few people that want to get appointed, Rick.
Great.
That's always good news. I'll leave this up for just a little bit. All right, I'll close this down. And again, as Rick mentioned, if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to any of our life sales directors here. As you see on the screen here, here's my information, email address, Justin Ford and Beth Rickliffs, our life sales director in our Topeka office. We also added a fourth life sales director here about a week and a half ago. His name is Greg Calderon. But if you have any questions at all, shoot us an email or you can give us a call here at 800-255-5055 and then just ask to speak to someone in the life department. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Um, we'll have Greg's information available down the road. He's still in the training process. So either myself, Justin, or Beth can help you as far as answering any questions that you have. And finally, for content like this and other content that we have available here at IMES, you can like us, follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. Here's the information here. But again, any questions, 800-255-5055. Ask to speak to any one of the life sales director. I'd be more than happy to help you. So with that, Rick, I want to thank you for taking time out to do this webinar with us. Those of you that attended the webinar, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend the webinar. And Rick, any final thoughts, words?
Anytime you need anything, I didn't leave up my contact enough for everybody. I do apologize, but anytime you need anything, happy to help. I know the IMES team is all over it, but if you need something firsthand, have a question about us versus a competitor, have an in-force client, that has another carrier that's interested in us, let me know. I'm happy to run it for you guys. I do appreciate your time and would do this anytime. I do it every week for your IMES group if you need me. So anytime, don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, be careful what you wish for.
I'll do it every week if you need me.
All right. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.